Good morning and welcome to Star Media. We're filming this at our downtown studios in Laverne. And today's conversation is going to be focusing on February's Heart Month. We're in the last week of January, thankfully. And so my guests today are Emily Crabtree, and she's the Executive Director of the Laverne Area Community Foundation. And we also have the manager of the Laverne Rock County Ambulance Service, and that's Harlan Vande Kieft.
Yep.
Did I do that? All right,
Vande
very
Kieft,
good.
yep.
And what we're going to talk about a little bit today is, because it's Heart Month in February, is the AEDs out across Rock County and the locations of them. And then we're also in the process of Laverne Community Foundation is doing a fund drive to help replenish and charge the batteries on those. So Emily, if you would like to give us a little inside story on the AEDs that are out there and what we're looking at to raise the funds for.
Sure. So in the earlier days of our being a community foundation, a program was established that in collaboration with Sanford Laverne, there is a grant program to put an AED, this portable AED like you see right here, in any public building so that it would be accessible for a time of emergency. Laverne Area Community Foundation would give $500, Sanford Laverne would give $500, so it was an automatic $1,000 grant, and then the building or church or whatever it was came up with the rest.
Okay.
Usually that was, and it like in anything, the prices go up and down, but it usually costs the organization between $1,200 and $1,500 afterwards.
Okay.
So we now, across the county, in public spaces, have 75 AEDs.
Oh my.
Right, I know. At churches, public buildings, squad cars, City of Laverne utility trucks.
Businesses as well?
Businesses could and likely should, depending on their clientele, but they can't get a grant from LACF because they're a business and not a nonprofit. But like the library, the swimming pool, the baseball field, the fairgrounds, anywhere where you're going to have large groups of people in a public space, there's an AED near.
Okay.
In the schools, in Beaver Creek, in Laverne, they're where the people are. And so you look for this large white cabinet, and then you'll see this this portable AED in there, and you take it and you run to where the emergency is. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But so we have all these AEDs now, but the battery life on them, I believe, is 5 years.
It kind of depends.
Yeah, and then the pads, there's a set of pads for a child or infant, and then there's a set of pads for an adult.
Okay.
And they're one-time use. So we need to keep, and they expire as well. So Jill Johnson, who is also part of the Rock County Ambulance, she has kept tabs on the expirations, and she sends letters out to the organizations to let them know, hey, your pads and batteries have expired. You need to make an application to LACF for free replacement. So that's what this fundraiser we're about to talk about is about.
Okay, and what does it cost to upgrade that battery or recharge that battery or a new battery and then new pads? What are you looking at per unit?
Right. The average cost is in and around $100 between the two. So sometimes you just need one. Your other ones are okay. Obviously, if you've had an incident, you've Harlan, does the battery, once it's been discharged, does it then...
So the more you discharge the battery and more you use it, the less of a length of battery life there's left. Because you're using it more.
Yeah.
So that will affect the life of the battery, because discharging it all takes power.
Yeah.
Is Jill somehow notified if there is a use of it and a discharge?
Well, that's an interesting comment because whoever uses it should.
Okay.
We've had two incidences where two Laverne residents have needed an AED. One was in a church, and one was via a police car.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that that'd be a great addition to our little AED community service plan.
So you have 75 AEDs out in the county. Not all of them expire at the same time.
Correct.
But if they did, at $100 a pop, that's $7,500 that we're looking at to do that. Let's just say half of them. So roughly $3,800 is what we're looking at. If you're a business or a person that would be interested in doing it, what would be kind of cool is if you called Emily and said, hey, I'd like to adopt one of those AED locations, and you can count on me as to covering the cost of that recharging and the new pads every so often. I think that would be a great way to get that started, and the AEDs. What we're also going to do today is Harlan is obviously the expert, the trained professional. Emily is married to a doctor. And I watch Chicago Med. So
We're all qualified.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the AED itself, and that stands for Automated External Defibrillator, correct? So what is a defibrillator? What does that mean?
So the defibrillator is just basically shocking your heart. It's actually almost like a reset. So it's putting it into asystole for just a second to reprogram it to say beat like you're supposed to beat, instead of, if it's in a rhythm that's shockable, the heart is beating really, really fast, anywhere from 250, 350. It's just out of control, and it needs to get that little reboot to say go back to your normal rhythm, and that shock is just kind of erasing and saying start over. So that's, and it pretty much goes through the heart. This one is going to be set at one setting. The more sophisticated ones, like we have in the ambulance and the hospitals, have different settings. You can change how much current is being administered, but this one's just a one setting for the general public to make it easy and simple to use.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead.
That makes just a good transition point. So we encourage business. Can you go online and buy an AED? Yeah, you can. But we encourage you to go through Sanford Laverne, because when the ambulance shows up and everything you've got going, they can unhook and rehook seamlessly in most cases. If you go and get something different, and it doesn't, it could affect timing, and it could be a matter of life and death. So that's why we encourage the program. Order them through Sanford Laverne. Different models are better and last longer. If you want to get the part systems, it has to be one that's been through our program.
There's some that the off brands are sometimes cheaper, and then they don't have the adapter, or they don't tell us that, and we get there and suddenly the two ends don't fit. That's where you talk about taking up time. Now we have to take those patches off and put our own patches on, because we can't just, for most all of these, if we get there, we can just unplug this machine and plug our machine right in. So you're talking seconds versus peeling patches off and putting patches back on.
Okay, so why don't we open up this device and kind of give you a quick walkthrough. And as they do that, we'll let you know what we're going to do here. Emily and Harlan could explain to this, because I certainly don't know. I haven't had the occasion, and hopefully don't have to use it. So I guess one of the questions, first of all, before we actually look at the device, and we will do a display or an example on how to use it a little bit later on, but when it happens that this needs to be used, it's obviously in a panic situation for those standing around. How do we calm down, or how does this walk us through that anxiety of having to use this?
Well, it's not really going to calm you down. That's going to be on yourself to try to stay calm enough to use it. But they made it very simple. So when you open it up, it has 1, 2, 3 right in front of you. One push button, and it shows you the button to push on number 1. And then you got number 2, where to put the
patient's chest.
So then it says put the patches on the patient's chest, and it won't go to step 3.
When patient's chest is bare, open gray plastic case and peel off white adhesive pads.
It not only gives you instructions, because reading instructions when you're in a panic sometimes can be like, I don't have time for this. What did I got to do? And it's also telling you, this is what you got to do. This is the next step. Here's the button with the picture on it. Here's where you put the patches. Now, again, the clothing is gonna be something you gotta try to get, you gotta get to the skin.
Is there a scissors enclosed in there or at the cases that those are in?
No, there's no scissors.
Okay.
You know, we don't, you
So
just
like
take
in
it-
my case with the sweaters, you just flip that up
and You're
probably.
just gonna get the clothes off as fast as you can.
Okay.
Not necessarily have to cut them off, but you can just take the clothes off as fast as you can to get to the location of where to put the pads so that you can deliver the shock.
If the heart attack victim, are they conscious? Are they breathing? Or they're obviously probably on the floor?
Yeah, but, well,
Or in a car or something.
It depends where they could be at, but obviously their heart has stopped beating effectively.
Okay.
So they might still be breathing a little bit. They might not be. You know, so they could be starting to get pale, and because their heart is not pumping any blood like it's supposed to, so which adds to some of that anxiety. They're not like they're talking to you, and they're unconscious. I myself have been defibrillated.
Okay.
My heart took off, so then I was still conscious. I went into a different rhythm that needed to be converted. So shock hurts, you know. But if you're experiencing
Better than
that
an alternative.
If you're experiencing that the shock hurt, then that's a good thing, because that means you're alive a couple days later. So that's a good thing. So the hurt is okay. It goes away. But so that's how they kind of work. It's not something to be scared of, because the alternative of doing nothing is much worse. If we can get the AED on and get them shocked within that first 10 minutes is crucial. The first 5 minutes is even better yet. The first minute is even better yet. Early CPR, early defibrillation, early response is the success of someone getting turned around. And we've had some of these. We had the one in the church, here not that long ago, where the person went down. The machine was put on relatively within seconds to a minute, and cardioverted, and when we got there, he was talking to us when we went to the hospital. Wow. So it can be very effective, but the earlier and the faster, the better.
Okay. Emily, is there anything else that you'd like to visit about the fund drive, and how do they get in touch with you to be an adopted parent of an AED
Right.
or to contribute to the fund?
Well, we're asking people to consider with our 75 AEDs a $75 donation or more in the month of February for an AED. You can mail your check to LACF. You can drop it off. We've got online. You can go to our website. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. There'll be a social media campaign coming out here starting February 1st. So just have it on your radar to consider a gift. Maybe it's in memory of someone, or in honor of someone, or the fact that you have one in your building. So it's just a simple way. We try to raise about $5,000 a year to keep our AED fund where we need it to support the machines we have, because they're no good if they don't work.
Well, okay, it's Heart Month, of course, and it brings us to Valentine's Day. And seeing as how I haven't bought my wife a Valentine's gift yet, I think I would like to be one of those $75 donors, and that will take care of it. Happy Valentine's, Mary. Glad you like
Perfect.
that. And we're also going to talk about what we have there, Emily.
Yeah, so the white boxes that you see around where these are, it's a symbol of life saving, right? And another initiative that's out there that the Rock County Drug Coalition through Love One, Love All has put focus on is the opioid crisis and opioid overdose. And there's a simple medication that if someone is having an overdose, if they have something that's called Narcan, which is in this box, it will save their life. So that group had an idea of, okay, if we've got 75 locations of a life-saving device, why shouldn't we put this in there as well? So if someone is having an opioid overdose, find an AED and you're going to find a box of life-saving Narcan. One of the questions was as well, won't somebody take this and mess around with it to try to get high? Or no, it doesn't. If you take it and you're not having an overdose, nothing's going to happen to you. So there's no tomfoolery with this. This is strictly for use with and will have an effect for someone who's in a drug overdose. So I think this is a great initiative, a great, we love collaboration, and when we can do something like this, it's fantastic.
I was visiting with Harlan a little earlier and about the display case or cabinet, if you will, glass front that these are in and these locations. And you told me that in some of them, there's alarm that, so when you open it, don't be alarmed if the alarm goes off, because that obviously there's a reason for that. So
Yeah, it's just alerting everybody around that somebody's getting the AED out and
Okay.
they need some help,
Okay.
It's, so like to add to Emily with the Narcan, so don't think of Narcan or think of the drug overdose as right away something that was because someone was being a little naughty or doing something they weren't supposed to.
Correct.
Some of these overdoses occur from in the elderly, and I'm getting a little older as well. Like, did I take my medication this morning or didn't I? And sometimes they take too much, not knowing that they already took it, and suddenly they're in church and it all starts to hit them, and then down they go. So
Okay.
it's not necessarily just it's all the people doing something that are being naughty. This can happen from children getting into the medicine cabinet. Oh, I don't think they took anything. They got in there, but we're fine. And then all of a sudden, they go down. So this could be a number of different reasons that an opioid overdose could happen. Obviously a big part of it is some of the fentanyl problems in the country that we're experiencing. But why not have something like this with an AED readily available for everybody around to try to reverse that, to help save lives. And, so that's why the two are kind of getting tied together. The idea of putting the two together is a great idea because they're in all those cases. You can kind of keep them somewhat sealed up, but people know they're there if they're needed. So very good idea.
Every time a new AED goes into a building, Jill and Harlan's team offer to do a training on it.
Okay.
And, sometimes you need a refresh. You've never used it, and there's new groups of people in your building. And so anytime that you want a training session on how to use the AED, all you have to do is reach out to me or to Jill, and we'll get something set up because we want people to understand and feel comfortable with its use.
And that's a great point. And even if you just open it up, you look behind the glass case and you don't ever want to open it up because it's going to make an alarm, or we're not supposed to touch that unless it's an emergency. But you don't want to wait till the emergency to actually finally look at it. So if you have one in your place of business or a church or a school or whatever, open it up and look at it.
Okay.
Turn the button on like we did and turn the button back off. But that way, at least you have some idea of this is where the card is that I got to read, and this is where the buttons are, and this is what it looks like. So it's to help your nervousness. You now have an idea of what you're going to see once you get there. So it's not your first time to look at it, and it kind of helps relieve some of that anxiety. So just open it up. I wouldn't go around shocking people for you can certainly try some of that and play around with that. So
Well, thank you very much. We're going to take a little pause right now, and then we're going to go set up, and we're going to do a demonstration on how to use this, and we'll also get some more information on this class. So when we come back, I can give you that information as well. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly. Hey, we got a guy down. I think we need the AED.
Need the AED. He's not responding. Need to put the AED on. Sir, can you still hear me? He's not responding.
Has someone called 911?
Somebody call 911. So at this point, like she did, she pushed the on button.
From patient's chest.
We take out the patches
Look
and
carefully at
place the patches
on the
just
white
like what
adhesive pad.
the machine is saying,
White
as
pad
well as the
on the
instructions. So we'll
Place
take those patches.
exactly as shown.
You can't take them out because they're going to be sticky. So it shows you right on there where they go. So this one would go
When the
right
first
on the
pad is
upper
in place,
right part of the
show the
chest.
second
This
pad.
one goes on the
Place
left
the pad
side,
exactly
just below
as
kind of the
shown.
nipple line off to the left side,
Press
just like the
firmly
instructions
to
show.
bare skin.
Once you get to that point, then you follow the next set, which is this button, to analyze. So then the machine is going to analyze the heart rhythm, and it will determine if it needs to be shocked or not. So if it's a no shock, it will say no shock advised. If it's shock, then it will go ahead and be shock advised, and you'll push that button, making sure everybody's clear, and it will say everybody stand clear, we're going to shock. Now, putting the patches on, obviously you have to remove the clothing, so try to get all the clothing off. If they're really sweaty, try to dry them off. Some people that are having heart attacks get very diaphoretic or very sweaty. Try to clear and make it as dry as possible, and try to push those patches down solid to get a good contact, just like the picture shows, and then proceed from there. But you do have to remove all the clothing and get down to where you're on the skin. So, and then you shock, and either it will analyze and say start CPR, no shock advised, or it will be a shock, and then you'll give a shock, and it will say start CPR. So
If I push the shock, will anything happen now?
no, nothing will happen now because it has to analyze. So if it analyzes, if you would put them on me right now and hit analyze, it would say no shock advised, even if you push the button. So it's not going to shock unless it decides the rhythm that it sees is a shockable rhythm. You don't have to worry about a misfire on some of that side. So there's a little extra piece in here that again has instructions for the pediatric patient. You just push that right into the machine, and then it takes over, and now it's a pediatric device. And then you follow the placing of the patches. It's the front and back right on top of each other, one right in the front, one right in the back. And then you would be in child mode, just like it just told you it's in child mode. And that's about all there is to it. They're very simple, very 1, 2, 3 instructions. Anxiety will be something you'll have to control and try to stay calm and try to do things as efficiently as possible. But time matters, and doing this and not being scared of the machine will save someone's life. So.
I mentioned earlier in our program about this upcoming NAP training course that's going to be presented. I got some more information for you, and Emily's going to clue you in on how this is going to work and the time and date and place.
So the training is Thursday, February 13th at the Trailhead. That would be the old Casey's building by Take 16. It's approximately a 1-hour session, and they're offering 2 sessions, one at 8:30 in the morning and one at 3:30 in the afternoon. Seats are limited, so you do need to register by February 5th. You can do that by calling the chamber to register. It is sponsored by Sanford Laverne and the Laverne Chamber, and Stephanie Pierce is the trainee for the event. You do get a free dose of the Narcan to have in your car or maybe give to your business for attending. And I think it's really important. The more people who know what's going on, the better and safer our community will be.
All right, thanks, Emily. I appreciate you coming in today, and I think the whole episode is going to be very valuable, and who knows, maybe you'll save a life one day, and it might be yours. Time to pull the pin on this operation, and thank you very much for joining us.